If you found this channel, most likely that means that you are concerned that either yourself or a loved one may have a problem with alcohol or drugs. So you came to the right place. How do I know if I'm an alcoholic or an addict? So I'm going to share the signs with you from the mental health professionals, but I'm also going to be brutally honest with you about how these signs manifested in my own life before I got sober. So hit the subscribe button. Welcome to Genuine Life Recovery with me, Jody Stevens. I am here to help you and your loved ones overcome addictions. We dive into the physical, emotional, and spiritual aspects of addiction and recovery, family dynamics, codependency, and more. Welcome to Genuine Life with me, Jody Stevens. So I've been sober for 16 years and I'm working on my second master's degree, which is going to lead to my alcohol and drug counselor license. So what I'm going to share with you, this comes from the DSM-5, and that is what mental health and drug treatment professionals use to, classify and or diagnose mental disorders and or, substance use disorders. So I'm going to tell you the 11 signs to determine if you have an alcohol or drug problem and also how they manifested in my own life. So I'm going to embarrass myself in hopes that it will help you or someone you love. Okay. So these signs can pretty much be applied to most addictions. Okay. And I had no knowledge of this list when I initially got sober. I just knew that alcohol and drugs were messing up my life. And no matter how hard I tried to quit on my own, I could not quit. Okay. So that in a nutshell is it. But here are the 11 signs. And by the way, I paraphrase these so that they were easier to understand. So sign number 1, do you drink or use more than you had planned? Right. So you have a plan, right? You're only going to drink or use this much, on such and such night. And then that plan falls by the wayside. So for me, once I started drinking, I could not stop until I basically passed out, right? Didn't matter if I said I was just going to have one or two. It always took over until I woke up with a terrible hangover the next day, usually full of regret. Okay. So do you drink more than you mean to? Sign number 1. Sign number 2, and the second is what I just mentioned at the beginning of this video. Do you want to stop? Maybe you have tried, but you can't. I tried numerous times to stop drinking on my own to no avail. Maybe you've tried various methods to control it too. Like I tried I'm only going to drink beer, right? Then I switched to I'm only going to drink wine. Then it was tequila. Very dangerous plan. But the idea was that, right, I would only drink a pint, then I would stop there. But then inevitably I would drive back to the liquor store drunk and buy another pint until I passed out. See sign number 1. But then, I'd also try to stop altogether. And usually I would make it a few days, and then the cravings and the undealt with feelings would come up and I'd start again. Okay, so that is sign number 2. You try to stop, but you can't. You thought you had control of it, and now it has you. Sign number 3, do drinking and drugs take up most of your time? So for me, when I wasn't drinking or using, I was thinking about it, right? It was like, oh, I can't wait till I get home so I can start drinking. And when I was out with friends, it was always about, where can we go where they serve alcohol. And toward the end, I just didn't really go out that much. I stayed home. I drank alone, right? Like the George Thorogood song, right? Me and my buddy Wiser, right? Yeah, all that. Okay. So sign number 3, you spend a lot of your time drinking or using. Sign number 4 is craving. If you can't drink, are you thinking about drinking or using? I used to say, I'm not going to drink tonight. And then I go to work and inevitably about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, that craving would come in, or that mental obsession, as they call it. It could be boredom or needing a release or a rush or dealing with a bad situation at work. It's basically where you're craving or thinking about getting the booze or drugs and getting that numb, getting that fix. So sign number 4, craving. Number 5 is your drinking or drugs messing up things in your life. Basically, maybe your grades are bad. You're missing exams. You missed that meeting with your boss. You called in sick. Maybe you got fired, or you didn't get the house clean. Maybe the kids are not getting your attention. So is your drinking or using getting in the way of your day-to-day life? I remember when I finally asked for help, the day I quit. So it was June 14th of 2005. I woke up after drinking almost a fifth of bourbon, which I don't even like. I was house sitting for someone and they wanted me to top off the swimming pool, right? To make sure I didn't forget about it so that I wouldn't overflow the pool. So I get this knock on the door, waking me up the next day. The entire backyard is flooded. I drank a fifth of their brandy. I was shaking. I called in sick to work that day. And by the way, I was a DJ for a Christian music station at the time, getting drunk every night, right? There's hypocrisy. And that was it for me. That was kind of D Day. Like that was my done drinking day. So all right, number 5 is drinking interfering with your life. Number 6, continued drinking or using despite having persistent or recurrent social or interpersonal problems caused or exacerbated by the effects of the alcohol or drug. In other words, is it messing up any of your relationships? Maybe a friend or a significant other's like, man, I don't like being around you when you're drinking, when you're using. Maybe a boyfriend or girlfriend broke up with you. Maybe your kids are, they're finding you passed out. They're having to do things for you. Your children, right? Your spouse is telling you that you need to get help. If you were like me, I would only hang out with heavy drinkers and I would avoid people who weren't into that lifestyle. Okay. So, number 6 is drugs or alcohol interfering with your personal relationships. Number 7 sign, do you miss or skip important activities because of drugs or alcohol? Okay, I'm a big skier, outdoor person, but so often I'd miss ski days or hikes or days at the lake because I was too hungover to get out of bed or do anything. Or maybe you say, I can't go to that office event, the kids' softball game, the movie with friends because you say, oh, I'm sick, I've come down with the flu, when really you're at home drinking alone. So that's a sign that you're married to your addiction, right? You may have heard people say, alcohol was my wife, alcohol was my husband, alcohol was my best friend. Okay. Number 8, are you using and drinking while doing risky things? Have you been arrested for drinking and driving, but you still drink? I was arrested when I was 21 and I continued drinking for years after that. And another thing is, I used to brag to my friends when I was drinking and driving that, if I closed one eye, I would stop seeing double and I could drive better. Drive better drunk with one eye closed. So that was very, very sick, you guys. That was dangerous, delusional behavior. I could have easily killed myself, somebody else. This other time I was broiling salmon in the oven and I passed out. I woke up, the house is full of smoke. I could have burned the house down. And yet I'm continuing to drink like this is no big deal. So I am being so open with you guys because this is what addiction looks like. And I want to help you. 16 years later, I'm not ashamed of this stuff. I'll share it with you if it will help someone. Okay. So, number 8, you continue using and drinking while doing risky things, dangerous behavior, right? Here's number 9. Do you keep drinking or using despite physical or mental problems related to alcohol and drugs? So, an example is that my brother, who he sadly passed away from his addiction, very tragic in 2015. Well, years before that, he was in a serious car wreck. He had head injuries, body injuries, and he continued to drink. And you guys, he ended up dying from his addiction. Okay. So for me, I was concerned about my liver and I would take milk thistle and I would get up and I would jog in the morning and I'd try to sweat and detoxify from the booze. I had anxiety issues. I had panic attacks. I would drink to get rid of the anxiety. But ultimately, the drinking only served to exacerbate the problems over the long run because I was stuffing the emotions that were causing these mental problems in the first place. Okay. So, number 9, do you keep drinking or using despite physical or mental problems related to alcohol? We're almost done. Number 10, tolerance. Do you need more and more to get drunk or high? I used to think I was super cool because, I could drink more than my friends. Oh, I have such a high tolerance, right? Well, that's because I was an alcoholic. I had a high tolerance because I drank too much. Okay, so tolerance. Um, Number 10. And this place is where it can get scarier and scarier, you guys, because when you start to become dependent, withdrawal becomes harder and harder. and more dangerous. So with alcohol detox, you can actually die. You can have shaking, and then you can have seizures, and you can end up in the hospital or detox with IVs in you and sedatives running through you to stabilize you. So number 10, tolerance, and number 11, withdrawal, like what I was talking about. So 10, tolerance, 11th sign, withdrawal. Now, when you stop, do you need something to help you calm down? Are you shaking and having anxiety? So for me, I would try and stop. And then I'd be having, panic attacks and in shortness of breath. And then I would need a tranquilizer to calm down. And then I would need sleeping pills to sleep because of the constant anxiety. So sign number 11 that you may be an alcoholic or addict is those withdrawal symptoms. And I do just want to say that so often when we're using and drinking, it's because we're trying to feel better. We're trying to kill the pain. We're just not going about it the right way. So it's very common to have an addiction and then have an anxiety disorder, to have an addiction and have a depressive disorder, to have an addiction and have a bipolar and things like that. So it's really important to first stop the drinking and the using, and then get rid of the substance and then begin to dig into the things that are going on. Okay. So those are the 11 signs. And if in the last year you've experienced several of these signs or symptoms, then you've got a problem. Okay. The more of them you have experienced, the more advanced your problem. All right. And so I would just encourage you to get help. Okay. And in the next video, we're going to talk about how to do that. I will tell you what I did. So I'm on the journey with you. Okay. So keep tuning in, please. And also check out my recovery blog, jodiestevens.org. And if you Google the DSM-5, the 11 signs that you might be an alcoholic or an addict, that's going to pop up on your screen, and you can Google that easily. Okay. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And I hope this helps you or someone that you love. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button.